Hey everyone, I'm back. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment tonight or this morning, wherever you were tuning in from around the world. I have as my guest Anton Gunn. He is the former senior advisor for Barack Obama, and he's also the world's leading authority on socially conscious leadership. He has appeared on numerous media interviews throughout the country, and he has spoken throughout the world and empowered amazing people throughout the globe. So welcome to BWE Mental Health Moment.
Happy to be with you, Dr. Hammond. Happy to be here.
Wonderful, wonderful. And thank you for those who are starting to join here. It's Dr. Hammond here with your mental health moment. We have today Anton Gunn. If you want to learn more about him, please visit him at antongunn.com. And one of the things that we talk about a lot on Mental Health Moment is really just this idea of being a better person, right? We talk a lot about that. So I know that in your latest book, you talked a lot about having a presidential impact, because again, you've worked with numerous presidents actually, including President Barack Obama. But what would you say to people listening about how to have a presidential impact in your life?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I've been very fortunate in my career to not only work for President Barack Obama, but have encounters with four other presidents. So I can compare and contrast what great leadership is and what good leadership is. And this is what I'll say. If I name these five presidents, so if I said Washington, if I said Jefferson, Lincoln, Roosevelt, Kennedy, we know that all of these men were presidents. And the decisions that they made during their time had a lasting impact in our lives. We still feel the impact of their decisions today. And so what I try to teach in the book, and also what I try to teach when my consulting work or in my keynotes, is that you can make a decision. It doesn't matter if you're president of the United States or just president of your life. The decisions that you make can have a lasting impact in your life. So you want to be very careful and thoughtful in thinking about the decisions that you make and how they can have an impact on you and the people that are around you. And so you mentioned Barack Obama, and I want to just kind of zero in. I mean, there's a lot of presidents I could talk about, but he's by far my favorite. And I'm not saying that just because I work for him, but because what he did for me personally in terms of my inspiration, my motivation, just my belief system about what I could accomplish in my life by seeing him to achieve becoming, the 44th president of the United States and serving 2 terms, and now being ranked as the most admired leader in the world. So when I start talking about Barack Obama, the first thing that I'll tell you, if you want to have a presidential impact on your life, you can look at Barack Obama as an example. And the first thing that I would tell you, that no matter what goes wrong in your life, always remain calm and stay humble. Now, I say that, but let's think about the president, Barack Obama, who we had for 8 years. Did you ever see him lose his cool? Did you ever see him fly off the handle and curse somebody out? The way he got treated as a president, the way he got called a liar on the floor of the Congress, the way people called him out his name and accused him of being a socialist and a Muslim and all kinds of things. Not once did he lose his temper. And I think that's a lesson for all of us, is that you can't control everything that happens around you.
Definitely
but you can control your emotions. You can control how you respond to it. You can control what you give energy to, what you give input to, what you give focus to. So the number one lesson that I learned, if you want to have a presidential impact in your life, you got to learn how to always remain calm, remain in control of your emotions, raise your emotional intelligence about the things that are happening, and make sure you make good decisions and stay humble about it.
I love that. I really, really love that and appreciate that response. And thank you for those who are continuing to join today. I have Anton Gunn with me, very special guest. And I appreciate you saying that about, I mean, think about it. For those of you watching, we're talking about a president of the United States of America. There's a lot of stress in that job. So for everyone, I know we all have stress. I know we're all busy, but imagine if you're traveling the globe, but you have all these responsibilities, not only as a family man, but a running the country, and you remain calm and you remain humble throughout that. Imagine having that in your life, to your point, to take those things that you saw in those leaders, or in Barack Obama's case in particular, and apply that to your life. And for those people that may be watching and say, you know what, I want to start taking control of my emotions, but I'm struggling in that area. What would you say is a tip to help people to start to remain calm under pressure?
Yeah, I would say it's really hard for all of us. I mean, the president made 200 decisions every day that could be life or death for somebody somewhere in the world. But yet he found a way to find balance. And so for those who are struggling to remain calm, I think the key is finding balance. You got to find something that is a positive outlet for you, something that you are passionate about, that you're excited about, that gives you clarity. It might be something humor. Maybe you like stand-up comics. Like personally for me, how I remain calm is that I have an insatiable love for hip hop music and culture. And so if I'm feeling stressed, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put on Mobb Deep's Infamous album. And that's my music. My music is my medicine, so to speak. And so I don't know what your medicine might be or what can lower your stress level, but you got to figure out what it is. It might be music, it might be entertainment, it might be a pet, it might be friends in your life, it might be, just finding something to do, going to an art studio and painting or something. So you got to find the balance. And I think that's the first step in remaining calm and having the balance in your life that doesn't allow your stress, your anxiety, or the difficult things that you deal with take over you. And it's something that we all got to find out. But we all know that one thing that makes us supremely happy, the thing that makes us, it might be getting some ice cream on a Monday night, whatever it is.
Simple, right?
You got to do it. You got to do it.
I completely agree. And that's so important. We talk so much on Mental Health Moment about self-care. I know we're all busy. I know we're all stressed at some point, but really, as you mentioned, taking that time, whatever it looks like for you, because if you want to work on emotions and be a better person, it's a lifelong process, number one, but also you have to make the time. And I do want to point out, by the way, I read your book. I love this book, The Presidential Principles, How to Inspire Action and Create Lasting Impact. I will put the name of this book also in the chat, but I wanted to ask your take. This was one of my favorite lines. I'm just going to read it really quickly, and I want to hear more about it because it was so interesting. You said, all presidents, all leaders will face adversity. They face it every day, but instead of being beaten down by adversity and giving up, they are inspired to push forward. And I wanted you to speak more to that, because there's so many people on Mental Health Moment that I see your stories and you're mentioning hard times that are happening. So what would you say to those to really cope with those things and to really be inspired to move forward?
So I will first tell you that presidents have figured that out, and it takes a long road to figure it out. But I want to take a point of personal privilege in sharing something as it relates to adversity. And you might be going through the most difficult time in your life. You might have lost a job. Maybe you're being, discriminated against at work. Maybe you're just, facing all kinds of stress. Maybe your relationships are not going the way that you want them to do. And you got a whole lot of stress and adversity in your life, and you just want to quit. Well, I will tell you that I've been there before. And I've been there in the most impossible way, the most difficult way that I never would wish on any enemy. And that is when I was 27, I was in graduate school, feeling real good about the future and where things were going in my life. And on a Thursday morning at 11:18 a.m., I learned that my younger brother, Sharon, was killed by 2 Al-Qaeda suicide bombers in a terrorist attack aboard the USS Cole, where he was a sailor in the Navy. And you have to understand the relationship that I had with my brothers. And that is, they were my first leadership responsibility. When I was the firstborn in the family, when my mom put my brother on the couch and told me, I need you to watch your brothers and don't let anything happen to them. It's something that I took seriously in my life, that my responsibility was to them. And then to lose a brother in a terrorist attack where you have no control. My brother was on the other side of the planet, serving his country, and 2 terrorists did an evil act and killed him and 16 of his shipmates. I was ready to give up on the world. I was ready to just quit and fold it up and walk away, because I felt like, what's the point of me trying to save the whole world and do good for other people when I can't even save the people that are closest to me? And I felt that pain of wanting to quit. And I think you've had Les Brown on your program before. And I will tell you, Les Brown said something, and I heard him say something one time about life will knock you down. And if life knocks you down, try to fall on your back, because if you can look up, then you can get up.
Yes.
And so that quote made me think about, what could I do to get up? If I'm in the darkest hour and I'm in my darkest pain, what could I do to get up? Well, I made a decision that if I'm in pain, then I'm pretty sure other people are in pain too. Yes. So what can I do to help people through their pain? So instead of quitting, when I felt like quitting, I made a decision that I was going to help and serve other people who might be dealing with a different type of pain than I was. And so I became more of a servant. And what I found when I made a decision to serve other people, that I got my healing in the process. I felt that my brother's death was not in vain, was not a mistake, because it birthed in me the willingness and the ability to make a difference for other people, to do what I can to help other people. So if you're watching this video, this mental health moment, and you're feeling like adversity is taking over your life and there's nothing you can do or you can manage it, I will tell you this: if you try serving other people, it might be as small as just opening the door for people. Maybe it's buying them a cup of coffee. Maybe it's going to volunteer at a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen. Maybe you're thinking, I'm on the verge of homelessness myself. What can I do about volunteering to help somebody? Well, everybody can do something. Yes. And I promise you, that small thing, that little bit that you give to other people, will give you more in return. And that's what I found, how to overcome adversity. And I think every president does the same. When they face adversity, they know that the next moment after the adversity is over, they have another opportunity to serve, another opportunity to make a difference. And they can't be mired down in the adversity that they face and forget about serving other people. They got to get up and do something the next day. And that's how I think we all should act too.
Wow, I love that. Thank you. And first I want to say, thank you for sharing that with our community here watching, because that is a really, losing a younger brother is horribly tragic. And I'm sorry for your loss. But I thank you for sharing that, because there's so many people on Mental Health Moment that have said similar things of losing a family member, a loved one, a child, a parent, and different people. And it is difficult. And I'm glad you brought that up, that there was a point where you're like, I feel like giving up, because that is real. But you were able to, instead of giving up, you were able to turn things around mentally for you. You were able to instead turn it into helping others and serving others. And I know currently you're empowering really leaders from across the globe. So it wasn't in vain. And it's very tragic, but it wasn't in vain. And look what happened to you. It's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't in vain. And, God doesn't make mistakes at all, and everything happens for a reason. And I want my brother back. I wish he was here right with me. There's so much I want to share with him, but it's in his sacrifice that something was birthed in me to be focused on making a difference for leaders who are in leadership decisions. And it's not disconnected from my brother's tragedy, because there were actual leadership decisions that put his ship and his shipmates in harm's way. And that's part of the reason how I got inspired to focus on leaders, is to helping leaders to make things right and to do the right thing always, regardless of what the political or social implications may be. And I share that story every time I get a chance to talk, because I want people to know that I'm not a perfect leader. Yes, I've had encounters with, 5 US presidents from the time I was 17 till, this past year. But I will tell you that it's not that I'm some perfect person or I live this remarkable, perfect life. It's that I've gone through tragedy. I've had tough experiences, but I've learned how to overcome them. And I
Mhm.
don't want to dismiss this point too. It wasn't just me committing to service that helped me to get through it. I was not afraid to ask for help. And when I mean help, I actually had a counselor.
Mhm.
I went to see a counselor
Yes.
who taught me that as a man, men, we get taught we're not supposed to cry, we're not supposed to show emotion, we're not
Yeah.
supposed to show fear, hurt, or weakness whatsoever. And my counselor, his name was Mike Williams. Mike Williams told me, he says, Anton, it's okay to cry.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel emotional. He says, if you're driving and it hits you, it's okay to pull over on the side of the road and have a good cry.
Mhm.
And that was profound to me,
Yeah.
that it was okay for me to do that. And I think that also contributed to my healing process, that sometimes you just need a good cry. You just need a few minutes by yourself. You need a few minutes to just express yourself, what you're thinking and feeling. And you can only learn how to do that when you actually get help of somebody who's licensed and trained and prepared to help people through grief and to help people through their tough times. And so I would encourage people, if you're facing that kind of adversity from a death or some major tragedy in your life, do not be afraid to ask for help. Everybody needs help. I
Yeah.
mean, Tiger Woods didn't become the greatest golfer on the planet Earth by himself. He had a coach. He had
Right.
somebody to help him. Michael Jordan had multiple coaches that helped him to be the greatest. So it doesn't matter who you are, you
Mhm.
need some help. And
Yeah.
so don't be afraid to ask for it.
Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing that as well, because unfortunately, with the stigma of mental health, we talk a lot about that mental health moment as well, but unfortunately with the stigma of mental health, people think very untrue things about therapy. Anton Gunn, who has been, what do you say, 5 presidents, who has had encountered with 5 presidents, who has traveled the globe, who has appeared all over like every major, media outlet, and is a prominent person and is still helping in the community and doing amazing things, has said, you know what, I had grief dealing with my brother's loss. I went to therapy. I mean, and I can admit too, when I was in graduate school, I was really stressed out, and I went to therapy too. So I love when people are able to share that, especially to say, you know what, I went to therapy, because it doesn't mean you're crazy. It doesn't mean
No.
you're weak. It doesn't mean someone's going to judge you the whole time. That's not what this is about. But when you're in that dark place, to have a mental health professional who can be like, okay, here's what you need to do, because family and friends are great, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's not enough. It's just not.
And
Really,
not only that, I will add to the family and friends point.
yeah.
You don't want to take your drama, your
Yeah.
stress, your burdens, and put them on another family member, because
Mhm.
you don't know what they might be dealing with.
Yes.
And that might be the straw that breaks the camel's back.
Mhm.
And we all have to guard ourselves and protect ourselves from negative energy and from stuff that people try to bring with us. And so
Yeah.
even if you're doing fine and everything is good in your life, when people start coming to you and start to bring you their troubles and their drama, just know you're not professionally trained and equipped to deal with that.
Yeah.
So you need to do a good job of helping them to find somebody who is equipped to help them to deal with that. Because
Mhm.
sometimes people might bring you stuff that you don't even know how to process.
Correct.
And if you don't help them, then you really just make a bad situation worse. And so,
Mhm.
family members are cool to talk to about some things, but you need to help people to get help if they need help.
Right. And support people that that are thinking about getting help. Don't be like, oh, that therapy thing won't work. I mean, it does. It works for many people, not for every single person, but it works for a lot of people. I've seen it, right? So encourage people around you, because to your point, it's hard. Some things that people bring to you it's too hard
Yes.
to deal with and to help them cope. So, really, as we're wrapping up here in the last couple of minutes, I want to shift gears for a second and just talk about any new projects that are going on, or something that you'd like to share and add to the community here.
So I got a lot. I'm excited about 2020. I'm working on a lot of new content. Like I said, one of the things for me is that a leadership responsibility, this is a responsibility that all presidents and every leader everywhere should have, is that when the people you lead face difficult situations or situations that are unfair, unjust, or inequitable, it's your job to make it right. And so I want to help leaders figure out how to make it right on the teams that they lead. I work a lot with hospitals and healthcare organizations, which are very complex environments. I mean, you got nurses who are stressed out, ready to quit after 3 years because of the amount of stress. Physicians are at their wits' end. 55% of doctors want to leave the profession right now because medicine and healthcare has become so complicated. And then when you think about the suicide rate amongst physicians, it's 2.5 times higher than the general population.
Yes.
So I'm very invested on helping the people who run these large organizations with these people who literally are our most important assets when it comes to saving lives.
Yes.
And so I want to help them build a world-class culture that allows people to feel whole at work, to feel embraced at work, to feel full at work, and to know that every burden has been taken out of their way. And in order to do that, we have to have leaders that make it right. So I have a lot of new video series coming on YouTube. So for those of you who are new YouTube watchers, make sure you subscribe to my channel, Anton J. Gunn, and you'll see new videos coming every week beginning in 2020. On top of that, I'm working on another book. Nice. I can't give you the title yet, but I will tell you that it will be impactful to help you, no matter what role you play, to become more admired in the eyes of every person around you. And what a leader does to get admiration is really around adding value to people. And so this book will be a way for you to add value in every aspect of your life. And it'll be part 3 of my journey as an author, my 3rd book coming up. So I'm looking forward to putting that together and getting it ready. Probably won't be out till 2021, but I'll be talking about it all 2020. Nice. So people hear it from the stage and on video.
Right. Nice. And to connect with you, it's Anton J. Gunn.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Anton J. Gunn, Twitter, Anton J. Gunn. You can get me on LinkedIn at Anton J. Gunn. I really love to connect with people on LinkedIn. And of course, YouTube channels, Anton J. Gunn. You can find me there as well.
Awesome. Wonderful. And definitely this book that's already out, The Presidential Principles, How to Inspire Action and Create Lasting Impact, is really great. And what I loved most about this book is not only there's some great tools in here, but really I was really happy that you really shared a lot about you personally and growing up and what happened with your brother and your family life and just so much about you. So if you want to learn more about Anton Gunn, just make sure to read that book as well. It has great tips, but it's also a really great personal story. And I appreciate it.
And look, I'm going to do something special for all of your viewers. I'm going to do something special for them. Just to give them a preview what's in the book, I want to give them a free chapter to download.
Lovely.
And so if you go to antongunn.com/free chapter, give me an email address. I will send you a chapter in my book, chapter 7. It's actually the chapter where I talk about my first presidential encounter when I was a 17-year-old. And it was really with Vice President Dan Quayle. And it's a pretty interesting story. It involves the Secret Service, not in a good way, let me be clear. But there's some great lessons in there that you can apply to your daily life. So again, antongunn.com/free chapter. And you can get a download of a chapter in my book. Come straight out of my book, and then I'll give you a way where you can get it and purchase it. And I'll be happy to autograph it if you choose to purchase before it ships out.
Wonderful. And I will definitely, right after we get off this broadcast here, I'll definitely put that in the chat for you all as well, antongunn.com/free chapter. And I'll put that in the chat as well as a link to the book. I want to thank you so much for everything that you have shared. Thank you for being honest, really. I mean, because that's what it takes. If we're moving the conversation away from the stigma of mental health, it takes someone courageous to say, you know what, in everything, because it can look like you have a perfect life, right? You're on stage, you're doing keynotes, you're doing all these things and amazing things, but you know what? There was a time you went to therapy. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you any less of a person for you or anyone else that has admitted that piece. So I think
thank you for having me here. And Dr. Hammond, I want to thank you for having this platform and doing what you do to share empowering messages with people and give people some perspective about how they can make it through. And so I appreciate your leadership and your gift of being able to have this great platform for people. Keep it up and keep inspiring. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so we will see you guys next time on BWE Mental Health Moment. Take care. Be well.